I tried.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to a very special and mysterious Thursday Primetime Guitar. I think you can probably figure out what the special part is. It's that I'm sitting where Matt usually sits, and Brandon is the new Chris.
I'm Chris.
Don't say anything. Yep. So the deal is, hang on a second. I gotta switch over to live chat. There we go. That way I can see what everybody says. So Matt and Joy are traveling back to Illinois to see some family today. He left about 1. They left about 1. But we wanted to do a live stream because we haven't done one in so long, because 2 Thursdays ago was Thanksgiving, so we didn't do one then. And then last week, Matt and I were sick, so we didn't do one then. And we started getting messages from people like, you guys okay? Are you still alive? What's going on? Why haven't you been on? And really, it was Thanksgiving and sick. So I wanted to do it. And so we talked Brandon into doing it with me. I identify as me, him, he, but if I say us, it's the collective us. So
yes, the Guinness Fund for Brandon. Appreciate it, Doc.
There you go. So for those of you who don't know, this is Brandon.
Everybody.
And Brandon works here at the shop, mainly as the head sander.
Yes.
That's not true, but he does do a lot of sanding, as well as some other stuff. You get to clean the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
You get to take out the trash.
All the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff. Yep. But we don't have a dumpster right now because somebody hasn't paid the bill, not us.
It's not us.
But they keep sending us the bill. So we'll see what happens. So Brandon, you recently went on a trip. Tell us a little bit about that.
I did. Last week, I just got back last week from Ireland. I was there for 10 days with my girlfriend, Samantha. We rented a car and pretty much drove the coast and saw really cool stuff, had really good food, drank a lot of Guinness, which is awesome. It's one of my new favorite beers now. So, Doc, appreciate it. Brian, thanks for the shout out. But yeah, it was a great time until the last day of the trip. Samantha and I had our passports stolen right before the day we were leaving. So had to push back the flight and got to go to the embassy, which was something, and get emergency passports so we could get home. But it was a great time, a great trip. Happy to be back, though.
Mm-hmm. Do you think your passports were stolen?
I do.
Do you think it's an inside job because new passports are $300?
Yeah,
I bet you somebody gets a $100 spiff for every stolen passport they bring in, or every lost passport they bring in. That's my new conspiracy.
I don't think you're too far off. It was either something like that, or somebody thought they were getting a cash or a wallet or something, and got passports instead. So
yeah.
Anyway, we're through it. So
I'm gonna look into that. So people are calling you the master of the hot dog frets.
Yes, that is correct. I do identify as the master of hot dog frets as well.
There you go. Brian Duncan says, I missed you guys. And Dan Andradas gave us metric $5 for Brandon for broom and sandpaper fund. Oh yeah, you get to clean a lot too. Yeah, you get all the good jobs. Sometimes we let him use the pin router and do hot dog fret ends. And what else do we let you do? Get lunch.
Yeah.
Speaking of lunch, we had Arby's for lunch today, which
it sounded better before we.
It really did. And the first few bites, I like went with the standard roast beef sandwich, and it was pretty good for the first few bites. I was like, yeah, this is what I've been wanting, because I don't eat there very often. And by the end, I was like, no, I don't think so. Even though they gave us a coupon book with some really good deals, I don't think I'm going to go back anytime.
Yeah, not for a little bit. The buffalo sandwich was
that
subpar.
Was so gross, dude.
It didn't look good, and it wasn't good. And I'm feeling it now. So.
Yeah. You cracked that thing open, and I looked at it, and I went.
I took the bun off and looked at it, and it was
Did you eat the whole thing? Because it disappeared pretty fast.
Yeah,
I couldn't watch you while you ate it.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, it did disappear pretty quick. So yeah, well, it's good to have you back. I'm glad everybody's starting to feel better.
Yeah.
This creepy crud's been going around for quite a while. We blame Ike, but I don't think he was the only one that gave it to us. I think there were several people. So yeah, good to be back at work this week. I wanted to give everybody a hearty thank you for making our Black Friday sale such a success. We sold 10 out of 11 guitars, I think, or 11 or 9 out of 11 guitars. Only have a couple of leftovers. One of them's a lefty, and we kind of knew that was going to happen anyway. So thank you all for buying a bunch of guitars. That was really, really awesome. And I also want to talk about our Toys for Tots thing, because this is the time of year when you actually get to take those and drop them off. We've been collecting Toys for Tots. Everybody that comes to a class, we've asked to bring a toy to class so that we can donate toys to Toys for Tots here pretty quick. I think we're going to take them in next week. And man, we have so many toys, and a bunch of people. Everybody gave one, some gave two, some gave three.
Some gave all.
Some gave all. Yeah. So we have a huge pile of toys to take. We're going to get Jam Jimmy to come over with his truck and load them up. And I bet you we almost fill up the bed of his truck with toys, which is really, really rad. So thanks to everybody that did that. And if you want to get in on it, but you haven't been to a class, we've had some people drop ship stuff from Amazon. You can go on to Amazon and order it and have it delivered here, and we'll gladly give your toys to Toys for Tots, our local Toys for Tots. And there's a place right down the street that will accept them, an old Ace True Value. It moved, and now they're taking donations there. So that's really rad. So we got a question. Dan wants to know if you stopped by Battle Axe Guitars while you were in Ireland.
No, I did not. And typically when you're on vacation, you're not thinking about work stuff. So
especially when you're with your girlfriend.
Yeah, she probably wouldn't have enjoyed going to a guitar shop.
Yeah.
It's hard to get her in here. Let alone doing that on vacation. But I'm sure it would have been cool. I had a couple conversations with some guitarists and guitar fanatics in Ireland, so that was cool. I slipped them the Texas Toast name and had some good chats. But yeah, that's about it. It was time for me to get away from guitars for about 10, 11 days.
Never away from guitars. I dream about them and dream about problems. And lately I've been able to wake up and go, when I fall back asleep, it will just be done. And that's what happens. The only time in my life that I've been able to force dreams. So we got a question from Gary Redburn. Speaking of sanding, what grit do you use on the spindle sanders? And he says, I'm sending you some more toys with Amazon. Thank you so much, Gary. You're awesome. Yes, spindle sanders. I think we have a bunch of different grits. I think we have some 80 grit spindles and belts. I think we have some 120 grit and some 150, or maybe some 150 and 220. I couldn't really answer that for you. Matt's maybe floating around. He might be able to answer that a little bit better. But the ones we buy come in, well, it's not a 3-pack, but 3 grits for each size spindle. Yeah, so that's what we use. Doc wants to know if you went to the Waterford Crystal Factory.
We did not go to the Waterford Crystal Factory, but we did stay at Waterford Castle, which I'm pretty sure is related.
Haunted? Yeah.
Probably.
No.
And that was really cool. Super old castle, and you got to drive your car onto the ferry across the little river onto the island, and it's super cool. You can do target shooting, and they have a really nice golf course, and rooms were awesome. But it was a really cool experience. Waterford was cool.
Cool. That's really good. Matt says the sandpaper comes in multi-packs from Home Depot. I think it does. I think you're right. So in case you can't tell, we don't really have much of a topic this week. We're going to talk about a little bit of stuff, But if you have questions, guitar making questions, finishing questions, sanding questions, what's the best glass cleaner to use when somebody spills a bunch of beer in your fridge questions, whatever.
Questions about life,
questions.
love.
No questions about love, unless how much you love guitars and cleaning things with glass
We're
cleaner.
here for you.
Brian Duncan says, I've got toys in my trunk. I'll drop them tomorrow. Cool. Thanks, Brian. Maybe you want to stay for the live stream tomorrow. We are going to do a reveal live stream tomorrow. So we've got a couple good guitars to show off and a couple of really bad ones, but those will only take a minute. Now, there's 2 guitars that we're going to show off tomorrow. Lefty O wants to know, sanding, final grit for a no finish neck. Yes. Typically, for a no finish or an oil finish kind of a neck, we'll go up to 320.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's my thought that anything above that, you're really just starting to polish the wood. You're not necessarily making it smoother. You could go up to 600 or 800 if you want. I don't know that you're going to get much different results. That's my own opinion on that. Yeah. So like a maple neck, you could sand it a little bit higher if you wanted to. I think one of the things that might not be the worst idea is to raise the grain one time, sand it to like 320, wet it down a little bit, let it dry, and then resand it. And then when you do your oil, it'll turn out a little bit smoother. So yeah, I think mostly on no finish or oil finish necks, it has a lot to do with the product that you use on them as much as what you sand to. So yeah, there you go. So what have we been working on this week in the shop?
We've been working on a ton of, I've been working on a ton of sanding sealer. We have a bunch of guitars.
A bunch of sanding sealer?
Yes. We got a bunch of guitars ready for some final sanding.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch more guitars in sealer in the paint booth, and about 10, 8, 9 guitars more ready to get more sealer.
Yes.
So it's been a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the Jamm.
Yep. Challenger Deluxes. All of those got the first round of sealer early last week, and then the second round of sealer this week. You sanded them all back with 220 on the easy sanding sealer, just like the last Sunday video. And then we went back in and reshot them all again. Now it's time for them to be sanded to 320 before final paint starts going on them. So there's 10 of those, 11 of those, 12 of those. And then there's a few other projects and things like that are in there too. So there's probably 15 guitars that are in sealer right now, in various stages of sealer, which is fun. And sanding a couple guitars is okay. Sanding 10 is a lot like factory work, right?
Yeah.
I'd
like to there's been some talk that sanding is relaxing and it's enjoyable, and I've just got to say, you guys aren't doing you're either not doing sanding right or you're not sanding enough, because sanding it's not fun, nor is it relaxing. The vacuum going off and the sanders going off, it's pretty far from relaxing, but
I think so. And it's one of those things you have to do properly. It's really easy to not do it properly, but still do it.
Yep.
But you also want to be efficient at it and get it done, because nobody really likes to do it. I love this so much, I'm just going to spend 3 hours on every guitar and still not have them done. And it's is it the worst thing in the shop? Is it the worst thing that you've done in the shop?
I don't think it's the worst.
Guitar production?
It's not something that's super grueling.
Mouse Patrol is probably the worst.
but that's got really high payout.
Mouse Patrol.
Because that's you find one or you catch one and it's like, oh, we got one. There's
no,
payout.
I meant cleaning up before you catch them.
Oh.
Finding out that those aren't chocolate chips. Those aren't mini chocolate
that's
chips.
That's a whole lot of poop.
Yeah, that's a lot of mouse poop. You start moving stuff around and then you realize, yeah, those little bastards can jump and climb. Not sure how they do it, but they do it. No, so back on topic. Sanding. Do you think? I'm trying to think if there's anything. It's not like it's so much worse than the next worst thing.
Oh no,
I don't think.
No, it's time consuming and it's repetitive, and you're constantly fighting that fine line of not sanding enough and sanding too much. So, yeah, it takes a long time, and you got to be focused, and you got to know what you're doing, and to get it right. And it takes a lot to get it right. So.
Yeah. Driddle says we're not doing it as a job. We can put it down and walk away when it's no longer fun or enjoyable. Yeah. You can always come back and do a little bit more. Yeah, and I don't know. It's just one of those things that you have to do. Yep. Sanding, when you think it's done, it's really about 40% done. Keep going. Yeah, I think so. That's part of that efficiency thing. Is I've seen lots of people sand, and for sometimes they sand and they still don't get it done. And it's like, well, so what have you been doing for the last 2 hours on this? Because you haven't been sanding. So there's some efficiency there. And I like to talk about sanding with alacrity. And alacrity is a youthful exuberance. Not sure why I glommed onto that word, but when you're sanding, you got to sand. You can't be thinking about other stuff. You just got to go for it, and you got to sand with vigor and get it done, and then move on. So yeah. So what do we got going on?
So Donald Fisher wants to know, Brandon, what do you wear for a respirator? And I think it's just that 3M.
Yeah. So we have a couple different respirators. The dust isn't too bad because we've got okay dust collection on the sanders. I don't feel like when I'm sanding wood or when I'm sanding sealer that it's all over the place.
Yeah.
So,
I typically only use the respirator when I'm using the pin router.
Yeah, I think that's worse. It throws more dust. We don't have a lot of dust collection on that tool. So, yeah. The only time I end up with a nose full of wood or a nose full of paint stuff is during classes when other people are doing it. And I'm, trying to talk to them and that. So, yeah.
Doc wants to know, can you use mineral spirits to wet sand nitrocellulose lacquer?
Yes, you can, and I actually prefer doing it that way over water quite a bit. That's actually a really good question, because the traditional way of wet sanding lacquer is everybody talks about water and maybe a little bit of soap to keep it slick and this and that. Problem with that is if you have any holes in the guitar, or any end grain or anything like that, the water can soak into the wood and it'll pop the paint. And you can't fix it. You got to grind it down and start over if that happens. So mineral spirits works really, really well. Other people use lighter fluid, and I guess that works. I've never used it. Can't imagine it doesn't work, but mineral spirits works really, really well. And I'll do the same thing with mineral spirits that I'll do with other things. I'll put it in a spray bottle and spray it, or I'll put it in like a bicycle water bottle or something like that, and squirt a little on and sand and then wipe it off, rather than dipping it into a cup or something like that, because you have contaminants on the sandpaper and then you dip it in the cup, and what do you have after a while? Cup full of contaminants. So I like to sand it, wipe that stuff off, apply more, and then keep going like that. So we use mineral spirits when we sand urethanes as well. So yeah, cool. What else? Oh, I'm way down.
Yeah, we got a lot of messages.
Yeah. Brad Guitar Miller from PTM Guitars says, great show, guys. New products in work and special package on the way for next week. Cool. And you should watch tomorrow's reveal video, Brad. These are not hot chicks. You are correct. And it's also not special or mysterious. It's mysterious why anybody's watching, maybe. What is Driddle wants to know, what is more tedious, Chris, sanding a guitar or block sanding an old car? I don't know. I haven't wet sanded or block sanded a car in a really, really long time. The funny thing about that is usually there's some sort of end in sight. Here in the guitar shop, there's an end in sight, but there's also more guitars coming. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's Paul Needs say?
Another question.
So he says, when you say sanding, are we looking at prep sanding for finishing and after spraying? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So pre-paint sanding will usually go to 220, and then the in-between sealer coats 220 again, and then we'll sand to 320 for final paint, and then after final paint, everything's a lot higher grit, and that's when I'll use mineral spirits, because the paper loads up really fast if you just dry sand. That's what I've found with 800 or 1000 or 15 or 2000 grit. If I'm buffing something to a high sheen, then I'll go to 2000. I'll do all the steps, and if I can start with 1000, that's really great, because then all I have to get out of it is the next step is 1000 grit scratches. I know people that start with like 400 grit and then work their way up, and I can't do it because I can't get those 400 grit scratches out of it. So yeah, hope that answers that question. Tom L wants to know if I think that a fine grit sanding drum on a spindle sander could work for edges in production work. A fine grit sanding drum on a spindle. Yeah, I think so. It doesn't take that much. We do stuff like that. We'll use one of the fine grit spindle sanders and then just hit it a little bit with some final paper. Most guitars have kind of a rounded over thing that even when you're like spindle sanding and stuff like that, you kind of want to have some of that hand sanded feel to it. I think that's one of the things that people like about old Fenders is, they had, everything was kind of rounded over a lot, as far as edges and that. There weren't a lot of machine marks. Like you put a half-inch round over on a body, and then you have to kind of butter that over too. And if you don't do that, then you have this crisp line around it, and then a half-inch round over and another crisp line around it. So yeah, I think you can get away with some of that, but eventually you have to do some hand sanding or some, I'm pretty good with an orbital now. I can do an awful lot with an orbital sander that I didn't used to be able to do. But you still, eventually you still got to hit it with a piece of sandpaper in your hand. So, yep. So what else do we got?
Doc wants to know, how did the magnifier headband things work out?
Oh, really well. I can't see anything at all in them. Yeah, I try to walk. It's a fun game. We've developed a new game where you put them on, and you try and spot the quarter across the room. It's really neat. Yeah. Watch for the Sunday video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think they will actually help. Yeah, for those people who can admit that they can't see, I think those will help, which isn't me, because I see great. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mark A's got some tips for you.
Yeah, Mark, we took care of all the security stuff. It was pretty easy. turns out people have had their passports stolen before, so there's pretty good protocol and stuff to take care of it. So
Yeah.
thanks for the heads up. But yeah, we should be safe. We don't have much credit anyway, so good luck.
Yeah. Not everybody that travels to Ireland is a millionaire, apparently. Brad Guitar Miller sent us a super chat. Does sanding the neck work the same if already has Steve's number 7? Don't think I got enough on like a slicker neck feels. Thanks. Does sanding the neck work the same if it already has? Yeah, I think so. You can sand more. The paper might gum up a little bit at first, but if you wanna make it do more, if you want to sand more, I would say go right ahead and then reapply the product. The other thing too, I think when we were using that product in the class, maybe a little bit heavier dosage might help, and let that soak in for 5 or 10 and then wipe the excess off. We've been playing around with some of that, and I think it works a little bit better. You can also try just kind of burnishing the back of the neck with like a really fine Scotch-Brite pad or even a paper towel, and see if you can make it feel a little smoother that way. So really who you should ask is Doc, because he did his neck and spent a bunch of time on it, and it was really, really slick at the end of the class. So yeah. Yep. Sorry for the dead air. Yes, SS, I do believe that. I am not going to mention that, but I do believe that. Yeah, yep. So something that we've been talking about in a lot this week is classes, and what classes we'd like to offer in the future, and what classes you would like to see us offer. And this is just more food for thought, because Matt's not here. We're not gonna do anything definite. But one of the classes that we've been talking about is a CNC with Steve class, where we go out to Steve's place for 1 or 2 days and get to pick out wood and get to watch his process on the CNC machine, which is pretty cool. So you get to pick out your piece of wood, you get to chuck it up, get it ready to go, put it in the CNC, and then sit there and watch it carve out a guitar lickety split. And then same with the neck. And then we come back here and do the same, basic process. So it would probably be like a classic Fender kind of a class that we've done before, only we would take the woodworking portion out here and put it in Steve's hands at his shop, and then come back here. And that might actually give us an opportunity to do some other things. We'd have a Dylan winding portion in that class. And things like that. And I think that would be a really fun class. Matt thinks it'd be a fun class. What do you guys think of a class like that? So leave your comments here, leave them down below. Let us know what you think of a class like that. Yeah. The other class that I kind of have that I think would be really, really neat, and this has a Steve component in it as well, those Stratocaster bodies that he's been making are really, really cool. And if we all started out with that, we could do like a kind of really nerdy Strat class, like nerd out on a Strat class. And we could paint them if you wanted. We could probably figure out a way to do some distressing, some relicking, stuff like that, and end up with something maybe kind of Jim Jam Jimmy Strat kind of a thing. That might be a really fun class as well. Once again, maybe a Dylan Wines pickups portion, maybe not, depends. Let us know about that one. The one class that we've done this year that I think turned out pretty good, the second one did, fabric top class. I thought that class was really fun. I think the people that took it liked it quite a bit. Is there any interest in another one of those? Yeah, there you go. So, questions. Guess not. All right. Well, see ya. That was fun. Ryan says yes to relicking a Strat. Red Guitar Miller says, really want to do the carved top class next. Yeah, we have 2 of those set up for next year, and we have, I think they're actually selling pretty well. So we've got carved top and set neck at the same time because there was some scheduling stuff, and I think the set neck was in 2 months or was set up for 2 consecutive months. And instead of saying, well, let's split, let's just make it the 1 month, we said, okay, we're going to do it all. So that'll be crazy because we'll be doing set necks, not set necks, through necks. Jesus, I'm stupid. Yeah. Yeah. And carb tops at the same time. We might be using the copy carver. I don't really know. I'm not going to worry about it till maybe 2 weeks before the class. Then I'll start panicking over it. Those are in May. That's a long ways away. It's like almost a year. Let's see. Tom L says a cool class would be starting at Steve's, coming back to paint it with Mike Learn, then winding our own pickups with Dylan, like a super class. Yeah, that would be a cool class. We might be able to make something like that happen. We've talked about using some of Steve's stuff for a Mike Learn class. Yeah, we might do that. Those classes, the Mike Learn classes are really fun because they're really artistic, something I'm not. But it's fun to watch other people be artistic and do those classes. Those are really fun. One of the things about those classes, the Paint with Mike classes, though, is that when you show up, the body's already all sealed up, because you have to have a couple days or rounds of sealer on there, and there's no time to watch paint dry. We could do that. We could come in and spray sealer and then drink all day, and then come back in the next day, spray more sealer and drink the rest of the day, and then start the class on the 3rd day. That'd work out really great.
We should do that tomorrow since Matt's not here.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're gonna do. Yeah, spray sealer. Actually, I am gonna spray sealer tomorrow. I don't think I'm gonna drink, so that's nothing like that. But yeah, the other thing we've talked about is longer than 5-day classes. Like, what if we started a class on a Sunday and ended on a Monday a week later? Or no, wait, Sunday, Monday, and ended on a Saturday. Sorry.
Yeah, Monday comes.
Yeah, Monday. Yeah, what?
It's all right.
When they invent that. Yeah, so basically a 7-day class or a 6.5-day class. Like, maybe you'd have to come in and then pick up your project on that last day if it was just a paint thing or whatever it is, or put them together. I don't know. So yeah. Yep. Yeah. Brian Duncan says the cost of that class would be $10,000. I think so. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe one portion of it.
Yeah. Yeah. For one portion. Yeah. For the Mike Learn part.
Right.
Yep.
Brian said to have Chris, Matt, Mike, Steve, Brandon, and Dylan together. Holy balls. That would be pretty wild.
It would be. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't know that we could get Steve to come out here. If we could get him to come here for the other, 3 or 4 days, then we'd really have something. Yep. Everybody could have their own personal assistant.
Yeah.
At all times.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then it wouldn't be, hey, Chris, every 10 minutes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. That could be the pickup one. You're going to take away my drunk time, Tom? Yeah, thanks. Yeah. That would be fun. Hey, we've passed the 30-minute mark on this thing. Can't believe we've made it this far. I am all out of notes. You got to start asking some questions because I got nothing. So Doc Siltonen says that he sanded to 800, then put 2 coats of the oil and buffed it with paper towel. There you go. Not even talking about that one. Yeah.
My mom's probably watching, so I'm not going to read that one, Brian.
Yeah. It should. It should make the bed too. Go team.
Yes.
Thanks, Matt.
Doc, that sounds like a good plan.
Isn't somebody driving? The last chat when we were watching Ike's chat, Matt and Joy were both asking questions. And I'm like,
somebody's got to be driving.
Yeah, somebody's got to be driving. And I think actually what happened was somebody else took over a phone. So, okay, here we go. Good. NSJ wants to know, when doing a neck through, do you do all of the fretwork first before gluing the wings on? That's the way I would do it. Yeah. Unless the body wasn't going to get into the way of pressing the frets in, but usually it does with the fret press. So that's the way I would do it. I'd press the frets in when the neck was still pretty square and flat. You know, that's the way we do it here. And then shape the neck and then glue the wings on. Yeah. Yep. Paul Needs wants to know, what's your view on open grain mahogany finishing, like on some of the very low end Gibsons? I actually think it's pretty cool. We do some of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think Gibson does a very good job of it. But I think it can be a pretty cool looking finish. So, yep, there we go. We got our answer as to the so really, yeah, Joy is the one that's controlling the Texas toast portion of this.
Hey, Mom.
I bet he yells at other drivers a lot. No. The funny thing about Matt and driving is Matt drives the complete opposite of his personality.
Yeah, you know, I don't have any qualms with Matt's driving, but he keeps his car about 90 degrees when he's driving, and it's the most insane preference that I've ever come across for a driver. It's
heated seats in the middle of summer.
Heated seats, and he'll turn I'll be in the passenger seat, and he'll turn the passenger seat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Heat on, yeah. It's pretty wild.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So Matt drives the speed limit, and yeah, it's even out on the highway in the middle of of wherever you are. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, Doug, an old fart would be a good description of how he drives.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what?
An old fart.
Sure, but I think he's driven like that since the dawn of time.
Mm-hmm.
So
you don't have to be an old fart to drive like an old fart.
No, and I think he even admits that. Yeah, which is kind of funny because I figured he was going to be like a wild man.
Yeah,
and he claims that on a motorcycle he is.
He might
I've only seen him on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I've only seen him on a motorcycle like a handful of times, but yeah, completely different than his in a car. So when we went back to Nashville, I ended up doing a lot of driving on the way back. So Doc had a question about orifices. Oh, is a 1 millimeter orifice okay for spraying color doing a burst? Yeah, it is. You can use, so those little guns that I have, Doc, have a 0.8 orifice on them, which will at the max do I don't know, 3 or 4, 5-inch fan, something like that. But you can dial them down to do a really like a 1/4-inch dot if you want. 1 inch get you a little bit wider all the way around. Yeah. The one thing that I think is important is to have a gun that you can maneuver. As you know, I'm a big fan of gun control, especially paint gun control. And you want to have a fairly small, fairly light, easy to maneuver gun. You don't want a big big gun with a lot of paint capacity and stuff like that, because you're not using a lot. You're using like an ounce of paint, so you want something small. So that's why I like those little guns. So yeah, cool. Dan Andrada says started filling out paperwork for his passport, beginning to plan for my Texas Toast guitar class. Sweet. That'll be awesome.
Keep the passports close, secure.
Yeah, I think wear it around your neck the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Doc also wants to know oil filter on the lines. Yeah, we run oil filters on everything. In some places, if it's really dry here, so I don't have to dry the air that we spray with. In more humid places, you do have to do that. But I think, yeah, oil separation. I've never had an issue with any of that, but I've also always had some sort of separator, and that seems like it works just fine. Even just one, like halfway through your airline seems to be just fine. So, what else we got going on? Okay. Chris, do you remember, this is from Brian Duncan. Chris, do you remember what the push-pull on that recession special I bought from you is for? It doesn't seem to do anything to the sound. Yeah, that's a series parallel switch, and it might make it slightly louder when you pull up on it. That's what it's supposed to do. Now, I don't know if it's working right. We could maybe bring it in tomorrow and we'll check it out. We can check it with an ohm meter and see if it's actually at least numerically doing something when we pull up on it. Yeah. Yep. Matt drives the speed limit because he has long hair. I think that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah. I don't know. So what else is going on? NSJ Guitars says Wales. So there was a comment that Wales is better than Ireland, and then the Scotsman says, yeah, but Wales isn't as good as Scotland. I think we got a turf war going on here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit before I travel again.
Yeah, because this was a big deal, right? How long have you been planning that trip?
Samantha, I can't take any claim in planning.
Well, you could. Wouldn't it be fun if we went to Ireland? Yep.
That's about as far as my planning went. But Samantha planned a great trip, and it was, she planned it for at least 6 months, probably longer. I'm not a planner whatsoever, so I didn't even know what locations we were going to until basically the week of, or when we got to each city.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good surprise to me, but yeah, it was a long and very. She planned it to a T. Every single day we had something to do. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And 11 days is a long time away from home and away from the dog and all that. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So who took care of the dog?
My mom and Matt got stuck with
the dog. And who gets to take care of their dog this week?
So now I'm with Mila and Wrigley at their place.
So you're house sitting with your dog.
Sitting.
Yeah, and their dog.
And they have the backyard though, so yeah, then they get along great. So it'll be fun. I enjoy having both the dogs around. I used to live with Mila, so it's gonna be great to be around the pups.
Yep, that's cool. What was the best place you visited in Ireland?
So I would have to say, aside from maybe a couple pubs, there was a place, we got a really cool Airbnb in Lanark, which is a really small coastal fishing town near the Cliffs of Moher, and that was really, really cool. But the Cliffs of Moher and the I'm blanking on the name, but the Cliffs of Moher was really cool. and there was a yellow wind warning when we were there. So, I mean, I couldn't tell you the miles per hour or the kilometers per hour, but it was the strongest wind I've ever felt, and it was aside a massive cliff. It was like a National Geographic episode. It was really, really cool. And then the Giant's Causeway is really, really cool. Another coastal kind of tourist visitor site to go see, but both really, really cool. Game of Thronesy kind of feel. Some of the Game of Thrones was filmed out there, so I'm an outdoorsy kind of guy. So being able to see that and just kind of walk it and hike it a little bit was super, super cool.
Cool. There's some questions. There's some chatter about if you got yourself a kilt while you were there.
I brought my own, an assless kilt.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, that's really great.
And nobody had a kilt there. Even that was I didn't see one kilt. So
well, it's because it's kind of Scottish.
Yeah,
right?
I was just gonna say that's a Scottish thing. So. Yeah, it didn't have haggis.
Ireland is just full of little leprechauns. That's what I know.
Yeah,
about
we saw quite a few of those.
Everybody dresses in green. And
thank you, Doc. Yes, kilts are Scottish, correct.
And and drink Guinness. And that's a question: is the Guinness there different than the Guinness here?
I have yet to have had a Guinness here since.
Okay.
I had Guinness in Ireland, but I had quite a few Guinness in Ireland, and I'm waiting to have another one. I feel like I have a better feel for it now.
Okay.
But man, was it good. We went to the Guinness factory. We got our certificates of learning how to pour a Guinness properly and all that. But man, were they good. They go down smooth, and they are tasty, good with any meal that I had. So, they're up there in my favorite beers now for sure. I'll get back to you on the difference.
Okay. Let me know.
Doc says 100% Guinness is better in Ireland.
Okay. Because I think I know Guinness is better at a bar than it is getting it in the can or the bottle with the widgets and all that. It's still good.
I might have taken a peek into Matt's fridge while I was over there, and I saw a Guinness, what I believe to be a Guinness. So tonight I'll probably crack it open because I was given free reign over their fridge. I'll have an answer.
All right.
Tomorrow.
You'll have an answer to the bottled and canned.
Yeah, it is canned.
Answer. Yeah. Now, every Irish bar in town claims they pour the most authentic Guinness pour you can get, down to the glass, down to the whatever, blah blah blah, da da da. So you're gonna have to seek all those places out.
Yeah.
And see which one is.
I'm a certified Guinness pourer now. I have the paperwork, so I'll be
certified Guinness pourer.
Yeah.
Did you get that while you were there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You pay a little extra.
Is it like the government? Is there a stamp involved in that?
No, just a printer.
Yeah.
Next to their kegs.
There you go. Dan Andrade says Liam Neeson drove a forklift at the Guinness factory before Hollywood.
That's cool for Liam.
Good for Liam, yeah. 119 seconds to pour a perfect pint. I have my papers too.
That is correct, yep.
119 seconds. This sounds an awful lot like the Coors has a product called Barman, and it's a 3-minute pour, I think. And what you do is when you walk into a bar that has it, you say, I'll have a Barman and a banquet. And they serve the banquet. And while you're drinking the banquet, waiting for this extra long pour of Barman, which tastes a lot like banquet, I think. Don't tell Jim. And then as soon as they put the Barman down in front of you, you're supposed to order another one because it's going to be a while.
By the time you finish it.
Because they only have one tap. And so even though it's a 3-minute pour, but there's other people that want that too. So there's a lineup at the Barman tap. So
I want to say Jimmy's poured me a Barman at the upright, but I can't confirm because most of the times at the upright, everybody's
even if you remembered, you didn't
tilted,
remember later. Yeah. And I've done the slow pour and I've drank it right out of the can, and I'll be honest, I can't really tell a difference. Oh, and then Paul Needs shoots Yeah, hits me up. Anything by Coors. Coors is the funny thing about Coors. One, it's Colorado beer. Two, Banquet beer is the original craft beer, and the only place they make it is at the Coors factory in Golden, Colorado. So if you drink a Coors Banquet in Texas, it's from Golden. So it's not the regular swill. I will admit Coors Light and a bunch of other stuff is not good beer, or not my favorite beer. But Banquet is actually a pretty darn good beer, and a lot of craft places cannot make that beer. They cannot consistently make a beer that is that beer, because that's the secret to that beer is it has to be the same every single time. So anyway, and I know, beer. So, but and the Barman thing's an old family recipe, and they make it once a year, and it's pretty good. So,
I think Coors Light is the American beer we saw most in Ireland. Most bars had it on tap, which
Had
was
what?
Coors Light.
Coors Light,
Mhm.
yeah. That's funny. Yeah.
I wouldn't
So
have-
so
I wouldn't
apparently
have thought.
Guinness is actually really, really, really low alcohol.
I don't know.
Overall,
what it is.
it's like 4%, I think. 4.2.
I want to say a lot of the
So,
beers over there are lower alcohol too. There weren't
Uh-huh.
like, I don't know, there's a lot of beers here that are 5, 6, 8%,
Uh-huh.
sometimes even. I don't think we saw any of
Yeah.
that. I think it was a lot of it's drinking beer over there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
yeah, Coors Light fit right in.
Yep. Sounds right.
Driver's beer.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Guinness is 4.1. There you go. So it tastes like a lot more than that. And it's fairly low-cal too, which is funny for as dark as it is. I had a friend who anytime he would go on a diet, quote unquote, his beer of choice, if he was going to drink a beer someplace, was always Guinness. He's like, fills you up. It gets the job done. And it's tastes like a lot more than it is. So there you go. Yep. So we're devolving into beer talk, which I'd rather not do. So because everybody has their favorite beer, and everybody thinks their local beer, and I do it too, is the only beer you should drink. And
Well,
really,
when we say it, we're right. You should drink
uh-huh.
Odyssey beer.
Odyssey beer.
The best
That's
beer.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we have a few more minutes. So if you have any questions, last minute questions, get them in. Otherwise, we can just end this thing fairly quickly. Doc says Guinness is very healthy in some respects, very high in iron content, good for nursing mothers and people with iron deficiency anemia. Uh-huh.
Thanks, Doc.
Yeah.
Make me feel a lot better about opening.
There you go. Yeah,
Guinness up
maybe
tonight.
maybe
Yeah.
I should drink more Guinness. Yep. Yep. Brad Guitar Miller says, speaking of beer, you need a new batch of Texas Toast Guitars Ale. We do. I think there's talk of doing something here fairly soon. I was frankly shocked at how much of that beer they sold and how fast they sold it, because I was concerned at Odyssey when we did the Texas Toast Guitars beer that they would have a hard time selling it. And Chris at Odyssey said, you don't have to worry about that. We make beer, we sell beer. It all sells. Don't sweat it. I was like, okay. And yeah, it went really fast. So
Are you guys planning another?
at some point, yeah, I'd like to do another one. I thought that was fun. And it
That'd
was
be cool.
Yeah, people seem to like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Legball wants to know how my amp build is going. I started looking at the directions again. That's a step in the right direction, but I haven't done anything with it. I'll work on it maybe sometime this winter, I guess. So yeah, sometimes at the end of the day, I've had enough guitars, and part of that is I've had enough guitar amps too. So I have to be in the right mood for some of that stuff. So yeah. Brad says the beer was good. I was impressed with it too. I thought it was really good, maybe too good. Last Cridman party.
Nice.
Brian wants to know when the Cridman party is. I think we might just have a get together at Odyssey. Just have a little show up and hang out.
Powwow?
Yeah,
And
hangout
shindig?
session. Yeah, a Odyssey and chill. That's not a thing. So last year we had as you know, we had a class, and that sort of worked out really well because we could make Friday the Cridman party and invite everybody from the class. So this year, I don't think we have anything going. So, yep. Well, I think we should just probably wrap this up. But before we do, I need to thank our sponsors. And I have them all written down because I didn't want to forget anybody. Guys at Flipside Music, they let us into this thing. Up next, Dylan, Ike, Dylan, and the gang at Flipside. They're getting closer and closer to the new store. Every time I talk to Ike, he's like, we're getting really, really close. I don't think it's not gonna happen by the first of the year, but it probably will happen by the end of January, is what he told me the other day. So
It's close.
Hopefully,
real close.
That's gonna happen. Yep. Tonewood Experts, Dan and Calvin. We've been using lots and lots of their wood. They keep teasing me on Facebook. If you follow them on Facebook, they'll show off all sorts of pretty neat pieces of wood. And they'll hook you up. If there's a discount code at the bottom of this, right down there, if you do that at checkout, you get a little bit of a deal. If you call them and mention it, you'll get a little bit of a deal. If you happen to be local, apparently you can go by and look through the wood on your own. They're super helpful, and their wood is very, very nice. Bitterroot Guitars, John and Cheryl. Not only do they sell us all the truss rods that we use and a lot of truss rods that Steve uses and other people use. I happen to know of a couple of big companies. One of them rhymes with Taylor Acoustic. The other one rhymes with Kiesel that use those same truss rods. They're top end stuff for not a lot of money, and they have a ton of other stuff. I was on their website today looking at stuff, and they have all sorts of stuff for us guitar builders. Dylan Talks Tone. He's coming up next. Great pickups, friend of the shop, good guy, really like him. He and Leslie come out and hang out. We do classes together. There's not a whole lot more I can say about Dylan. Called him up the other day and had a bunch of questions about pickups. Or actually texted him. He called me right back and told me, "Don't do that, you dipshit." Didn't say that, but he did that. Oh, Brad Hutchings said Cridman party was highlight of my year. Gonna a couple of days notice so I can fly out. Yeah, we'll definitely let you know. Brad showed up in a Santa outfit. I think he flew in, went into the restroom at the airport. I think maybe he went to his hotel room, but I think he Ubered over as Santa.
That's dedication.
It is. And and then hung out at Odyssey for quite a while as Santa until he just got too hot. I missed him. But one of the other guys, Ryan Elias, sends me a text. He's like, "Hey man, there's some guy here dressed as Santa, says his name's Brad." I was like, "Oh yeah, it's Brad Hutchings. He's a really cool guy." So yeah, that was awesome.
You can't have too much Christmas spirit.
You really can't. I should have more Cridman spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe someday I will.
Everybody can use a little more Christmas spirit.
Yep. Odyssey Beer Works. Speaking of Odyssey Beer Works, our good friends Chris and Dina. They make great beer and they're really fun people. Maximum Guitars. We talk a lot about Steve's templates. We didn't hardly talk about Steve's templates at all today, but we did talk about his oil a little bit though. Everything he does is top notch. Start with excellence, and he does, and he also finishes with excellence. Pedal to the Metal. Brad Guitar Miller has a really cool reverb store with a lot of tools and cool plates and things like that. Good friend of the shop. Brad, watch tomorrow's reveal because your guitar is going to be in it. And NK Forrester, How to Make Money Woodworking, Amazon book. There's links for all of this stuff down below. Some of them have discount codes. Go and look them up. So I think that's it. Hey, we made it. Can't believe it. We filled an hour. I was pretty much sure I was going to have to turn this thing off. I had 15 minutes. I was like, I can't talk for an hour. not by myself, not like Matt.
You guys got a real knack for it.
He does.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll shut up. We'll let you go watch Dylan's channel. And thanks for watching. Reveal tomorrow on a couple of really cool guitars. And until next time, we'll see you.
Take it easy.